Thanks so much for joining us today. We're excited to welcome you. My name is Tracy Prokepchuk. I'm an Outreach and Education Advisor with the Student Recruitment Team at Mohawk College. Also, the wonderful teachers in our GAS and GAS EAP programs are here. Before we start, could you please turn off your videos and microphones? If you want to ask questions, please type in the chat area. We will answer questions at the end of our presentation. We will record today's session so that students can watch it in the future on our GAS and GAS EAP program pages. Everyone wants to know how we will teach our programs in September. The college thought about this very carefully, and we have decided to teach the fall 2020 semester of our GAS programs online. If your program is online this fall, please know that the plan is flexible. If the situation changes, we can change our teaching and learning delivery. We know that you expect a high quality of education experience from Mohawk, and we will continue to help you meet the learning outcomes for the program. It's a good idea to check updates from our COVID-19 on the Mohawk College website. A link for frequently asked questions will be available in the chat for review. If you are an international student, please connect with our International Student Department. We will give you the information about the website for internal student support in this chat. Just remember, there is still space in our GAS and GAS EAP programs if you want to start this September. To study in these programs, you will need grade 12 English, and sometimes there is math required depending on what you are looking at. You can find more information about the mission requirements on the Mohawk website and on the GAS program pages. Now I'm going to introduce Ryan, and he will give you more information about the programs. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy, and welcome everyone. My name is Ryan Isles, and I am the program coordinator for the General Arts and Science one-year certificate, the 230 program, and the 2-year diploma program. We can go to our next slide here. We'll kind of get into a little bit here. So I'm assuming most of us are a little bit familiar with General Arts and Science and what it kind of does, but I want to kind of go into a little bit more detail than what you can just find on our website. So we have the two different programs, but what we're really able to do in General Arts and Science is help people find their path, help people find what they're interested in, because it is a daunting task to try and figure out and answer that lovely question of what am I going to do with my life, or what am I going to do for work or career or for a job. And what we try and do in General Arts and Science is help people find what they're truly passionate about and truly interested in, because school up until this point has been a bit more of a dictated semester by semester choice of courses. So we offer a wide variety of courses, such as different types of psychology, like a forensic psychology, if you like the CSI type of stuff, or an intro psychology. We have history of 20th century warfare or mythology. There's anthropology and the history of human origins, sociology, indigenous studies, different levels of political science, philosophy, critical thinking. We do all different types of areas. We also offer, if you are looking at trying to up your grade 12 sciences or your grade 11 sciences to get admittance to other programs that require those, we do have a physics, math, two different versions of math, chemistry, and biology courses that you can choose as your options to upgrade. One of the focuses of General Arts and Science is to try and develop the skill sets that every single employer is asking for, and that's a level of critical thinking, which is ever so more important in today's world with everything that's happening in our geoclimate right now. Developing your communication skills, which focuses on your analytical, your writing, your reading, and your oral comprehension, as well as a social cultural awareness to help you gain traction around the world. So these are highly desirable skill sets that are transferable to no matter what career or what opportunities you try and seek out. So you're not going to be developing a skill set that will expire, that will only be valid until the next version of a software program comes out. Can we go to the next slide, please? So what are you going to learn? So every single employer wants the soft skills. The soft skills are those intangible skills that you bring to the board. So they can be your reading and writing skills, your comprehension, your personality, your critical thinking. We're going to target all those different kind of aspects. Another kind of neat part about what we try and do in General Arts and Science is help you foster a new kind of appreciation and curiosity about the world around us. We teach a lot of variety of subjects that a lot of students aren't introduced to in their day-to-day lives or in high school or previous studies. So by asking questions that you're not normally, faced with or challenged with, it really kind of opens your mind and opens your attitudes up around the world. And what this does is it helps you start to connect dots in different ways that a lot of different disciplines don't offer. So by having our graduates understand a different realm of disciplines, they are able to start to become much more open and aware and appreciative of the world around us. So what's kind of neat about this is if you actually look at a lot of senior leadership or higher earners or political leaders around the world, a lot of them actually do have a liberal arts background in education. So it's really kind of neat to see that it's not going to hinder which direction you can go, but that it opens you up to challenge and face into any direction in life that you wish to go to. So by providing this really well-rounded education, it's actually going to open more doors for you down the road, which is really, really exciting to see. Go to the next slide, please. Another interesting aspect of journalism science that some of you may be considering is that we do act as a pathway to other program areas. So some students might find themselves in a position where they get an alternative offer for general arts and science, and maybe it's your second choice. Maybe you weren't even aware of general arts and science because you weren't able to get into the program of your choosing. What's great about general arts and science is even if it's not where you intended to get up, which is quite often the case for a lot of students, like I myself, and I'm sure quite a few of my colleagues, we all started in programs in university or college and then transferred to other programs, finding out that, hey, that wasn't for us. So what GAS allows you to do is, if you do get an alt offer, you can upgrade and take a lot of courses that are actually going to be applicable to the program of your primary decision or choice. So what I mean by that is most programs at Mohawk require a communications course in their first semester. We take that. So if you take your communications through us, when you get into your next program, that credit's done. You have one less course to take. As well, most programs across Mohawk, if they're 1, 2, 3-year programs, typically require up to 3 elective courses. Our first and second year elective offerings are those elective courses as well. So while you're doing our program, you're still taking all these credits that are going to be applicable to a future program at Mohawk or another college in Ontario, possibly even university, depending on the combination of courses you take. So what's really kind of cool about that is while you're not able to maybe start off in the program of your choosing, you can upgrade your courses, get comfortable in the college atmosphere, perhaps strive for some really high grades, then transfer to the program of your choosing while still having had all those courses apply to your new program. And it's not like you're wasting money at the same time. So as an example, you can see on the slide there, just taking the GAS 1-year certificate can get you up to 5 course credits for the social service work program, your communications, your intro sociology, intro psychology, as well as 2 electives. So very, very exciting that. That's not the only program you can do that, but there are others as well. The other interesting aspect of GAS is if you're missing certain admission requirements, it does allow you to upgrade certain courses. And a lot of students do take this opportunity through the General Arts and Science program. So perhaps you're trying to get into a pre-health or a nursing type of program. You can upgrade some of your biology or physics credits to meet those entrance requirements. We also have students transferring over to business or other areas as well by doing the same sort of thing. Next slide, please. So you might be wondering, what is the difference between the 1-year certificate and the 2-year diploma, besides the fancy names of certificate or diploma? Well, the easy answer is they're 1 year or 2 year, but they share the same first year of the program. So what's great is you can start in the 1 year or you can start in the 2 year, doesn't matter. If you decide after 1 year that I'm great, I'm going to check out after 1 year, move on to another program or pursue other studies, career, whatever it is, fantastic. Graduate with the 1 year. If after 1 year, you're like, you know what, this has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed my time here and I want to kind of take the next step and you want to continue into our second year, all you have to do is speak to myself or our student success advisor, Jasmine, and we can simply transfer you to the second year of the program. You don't have to do any applications through Ontario colleges. There's none of that extra application fees. You don't have to worry about anything like that. Conversely, if you start, if you start in the second year or the 2-year program, and after 1 year, you're like, I got into the program of my choosing perhaps, or you decide maybe it's not for you and you want to stop with the 1 year, by all means, apply to graduate from the 1 year certificate. No harm, no foul. So it's really simple because they share the same first year program. The big difference between the two, though, is what the 2-year diploma offers in terms of articulation agreements. So both programs are going to give you college credits that you can transfer throughout the province or throughout our own college programs. But if you're looking at transferring into university, the 2-year diploma program unlocks our articulation agreements. So you can go to the next slide, we'll see some of those. So our first and primary one that we find our students activating is with McMaster University here in Hamilton, which is one of the best universities in Canada. It's a fantastic place to go. And if you are a graduate of the Mohawk 2-year 208 diploma program in gas, you can earn up to 48 transfer credits. In order to access that, though, you do have to have an overall average throughout the whole program here with Mohawk of 75% in order to activate the articulation agreements. What those 48 transfer credits gets you is essentially 2 years worth of credit. So you almost go in the third year. And I say, we talk often about transfer credits, not in terms of years, but in numbers of courses, is you might start by taking some of your courses at MAC in third year, but you may have one of their first year courses or a second year course that you have to take in lieu of it. So it's going to kind of balance out, but at the end of the day, you're essentially getting 2 years worth of credits, which is absolutely amazing. With our transfer agreement, it's not to any program throughout McMaster. We do focus on the social sciences and the humanities so that our graduates historically have often gone into, say, sociology, anthropology, labor studies, culture studies, critical thinking. There's a lot of different areas there. And this is where we've seen a lot of our graduates move on to MAC, do their BA. We've even had some graduates. I had one reach out to me last week who's actually starting his PhD, having started with us about 7 years ago. I remember him in first semester. It's crazy to see how far he's gone. It's wonderful. So a lot of our students do access this articulation agreement. That's really special with McMaster. The other one we have is with Athabasca University. And some of you might be thinking, I'm not moving to Alberta. That's fine. I get it. I'm from Alberta. But Athabasca University is an online university. And what our agreement with them gets is up to 60 transfer credits. So it's 2 years of credits towards a 3 or 4 year degree with them. And those are often in the professional arts and human services, which is just another way of saying social science or humanities. You can go to the next slide, please. The other pathway opportunities, we don't have always listed as exact articulation agreements, but these are transfer opportunities on our website and on these universities' websites, is Brock University and Laurier in our region. And with Brock, you get up to 5 transfer credits. That's 5 complete transfer credits. It might not sound like a lot, but most courses at universities are actually 0.5 credit courses. So it's 10 courses essentially. And in order to activate that, all you need is a minimum average of 70% throughout our program here at Mohawk. Laurier has a very similar agreement with us, and they are looking for a cumulative average of around 75%. This can fluctuate year to year based on admissions and how many people are applying and what they're applying with. But what it really kind of comes down to show you is that if you didn't say have the requirements to get into university right away and you want to start with us, you can still find your way, find your path. Another bonus, and I think it's on the next slide, if we can go there, is, here we are, good old timing, right? Why start with us rather than go to university right away? Well, one of the first and most amazing parts is you actually have a lot smaller class size. So rather than starting with a very daunting 400-person lecture hall class, like I remember starting at university, you can start in a class that perhaps only has 30, 40, 50, 60 students in it. So a much smaller class, which allows more contact with your professors for them to meet with you, get to know you, encourage you, guide you, but also provide extra support for assignments, critiquing, and lessons. It allows you to build those relationships with your peers, with your professors, which can actually help provide support to getting on to your next path as well. It allows you to build that confidence before going off to university, which can be daunting, but incredibly rewarding and exciting. And that's where we want to see students try and strive to get to. So by building up those skills and finding your way, finding your path, finding your inner kind of like aspirations, so to speak, with us here at Mohawk, then when we find our students go off to university, they're already ready to go and they actually perform at a higher level at times, which is wonderful because they've already gone through the stages with us. Because our second year courses in journalism science are at a higher level. They're essentially at a university level. So when our students get to university, they're prepared. They know what they're in for and they're ready to go. Another awesome part about us is the cost savings. Everyone's always aware of money. You have to be. It's the world around us right now. But a typical diploma with us here, the 2-year program, would be around $8,300 total. I know it's a big number. I'm not trying to scare you with that. But 2 years at McMaster in social sciences is over $12,000. So you're almost at a $4,000 savings over the same amount of time, but you get the same amount of transfer credits. So you can save a fair bit of money while starting off with us, build that foundation, build those skills, build that confidence, upgrade those grades, and then transfer the program where you're trying to go. So it's a really great place to start. You can go to the next slide, please. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact myself, Ryan Iles. You can see my email there. It's ryan.iles, I-L-E-S, at mohawkcollege.ca. That's the best way. If you want to contact me, you can call Mohawk College's website and or phone number, sorry. And my extension is 3085. We also have Jasmine Francis, who's our student success coach, and Aaron Cameron, our associate dean, and they can answer any questions about the program as well. The other thing I would just want to mention is I was trying not to repeat too much that you can find on the website, but if you do go through the whole courses on our website, you can find a lot of really kind of interesting new ideas. We're trying to create new courses every year to try and find ways to capture students' interest. So I really, really appreciate you coming out here today, and I really hope to see some of you probably more virtually in the fall. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Hi, Ryan. Actually, we do have a few questions.
Perfect.
Yeah, so our first one is there a deadline to apply to GAS?
There are typically, I'm not as well versed on the deadlines because I always like to say there's probably formal deadlines. However, up until roughly 2 weeks into the semester is the last day to add a course to your schedule. It's usually the third Monday of the semester. It's usually around September 20th or so is the last day you can actually add courses to your schedule. So technically speaking, I guess you could be accepted into the program like a week or so into the start of the program and then still register. However, please don't do that because I don't want you to miss any class time. So make sure you've applied hopefully by mid-August. So that way when registration for classes opens up, I believe it's around August 20th or so this year, that you're ready to go on there and get your first choice of all the courses you want to make sure you get everything that you're looking for.
Yes, that's excellent. And I did pull in our numbers, and we do have room still in the program, so people can still definitely apply. So that's good news. Our next question is, should you have good writing skills going into the program?
I I would say it's not necessary because that's what part of coming to college is all about. So in our program, there is a mandatory communications course in first semester, and that's for all students across the whole college. So it's not just us, we're not the only ones forcing you to write, but that communications course is going to help improve and increase your writing skills if it's something that you're a bit self-conscious about. Our other courses that you take with us are all going to also continue to work with you in writing. The other options on campus is we do have a writing center, like a learning support center as well, which will be online, I suppose, in the fall to provide assistance and guidance in your writing so they can help critique and edit your work as well. They're not like giving you an A, but they're going to help get you closer to it. And you can work with your professors as well. We also in General Arts and Science have a second semester required course on advanced writing. And I shouldn't call it advanced writing, it's academic writing. And it's just another course to try and help teach you and guide you to improve your own writing, which is critical for any job, any career that you're looking to go towards in the future. So it's not necessary coming in, we're going to get you there.
So would you also be teaching like styles of writing as well too?
There are a couple different styles. We typically are looking at academic style writing, like more like essay writing and approaches. However, there are different styles that they'll be looking at in communications courses. We also have a couple new types of courses that look at writing styles and fiction, like there's speculative fiction, crime fiction, a couple other new literacy courses that are starting this year as well.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. Okay, we have another question. When do we register for the timetable? And that pretty well, we start releasing July 28th. And yep. It is just, you have to go online. You have to know when your actual registration date is. And that's all done through My Mohawk. Did you want to add anything to that?
Oh,
I know I kind of took that away from you, didn't I?
No, that's perfect.
If you only apply into a certificate, will I have the option to complete the diploma, or do I have to reapply to get into the second year?
Great question. And absolutely, you can complete the diploma. You do not have to reapply to the college through Ontario colleges or anything like that. So we take out all the complicated matters. All you have to do is just come speak to me or send me an email and be like, hey, Ryan, the first year is awesome, and I want to continue into the second year. And as long as you're, proving that you're passing your courses and you're feeling like you're ready for it, then I can just simply, at the end of the semester, go onto a little page and I basically transfer you to the second year so you can register for your classes for the next fall as if you had registered in 208 to begin with.
Okay. Now I'm going to go dig into some of the kind of questions that we get asked through the Discovery Center. So hang on.
No worries.
Okay. The biggest one that we always get asked is, does every university accept the general arts and science to your program?
So when I was speaking about articulation agreements, I mentioned like the specific ones we have with like McMaster and Laurier. And these are just, when we say articulation agreements, it's like a fancy document that's signed off by the colleges and the universities that talk about this path. I always like to advise students that, every college and every university is going to consider what you've taken with us when you apply. So if you apply to University of Toronto, or if you go, University of Calgary, where I went, wherever it might be, and if you bring your transcript and you bring the course outlines from the courses you took, they will take them into consideration for exemption purposes or credit granting purposes. We can't promise anything, but when it comes to universities, they usually look for 2-to-1, meaning 2 courses of a certain kind of area to grant 1 credit. Colleges, it's more 1-to-1 as long as the learning outcomes are the same. So for instance, we'll have a student who maybe went to Seneca last year. They come to us, they had to do a communications course in, say they're in pre-health. They come to us and it's like, it meets the same requirements. So as long as they had a 60% or a C-, we'll grant that course. You don't have to take it again with us unless you want to. Maybe you didn't do as well and you want to up your course, try and improve your GPA. Universities are the same. So they will take into consideration what you've done previously with us and possibly grant some of those extra courses as well. So for instance, with McMaster, we spoke about how you need that 75% GPA to access that articulation agreement. If you weren't able to maybe meet that in every single of your courses, you might not get that lump sum articulation agreement, but you might be able to activate a couple course by course basis exemptions. So there's always options. You just have to kind of like speak it through and talk to everyone out. I hope that answered it there.
Yes, it really does. Here's another question for you too. You keep talking about articulation agreements. For us that are not in the academic world, can you explain what that actually means?
Yeah, articulation agreements is just our fancy, weird, formal verbiage we like to use in higher education to talk about the fact that we partner with, like, say, Mohawk partners with McMaster University and says, we understand that a lot of your graduates here at Mohawk perhaps want to come to McMaster. So the articulation agreement is just like a formal document, basically creating a bridge to make it easier for students to transfer, to start at one school at the college and move to the university. And likewise, students go to McMaster and then they move here to Mohawk. So the articulation agreement is just that fancy kind of document that's being signed and formalized by the higher ups, so to speak, to help ensure that students can access these agreements, that they can access the courses. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by my dog next to me. But yeah, it's just a way to make sure that any student who takes these courses, they're guaranteed that if they meet those requirements and those the grades, that they will get that credit when they go to that university.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, we've got one last question for you. And then the dog can go for his walk. And I know that's what he's after. For our second year of GAS, if in-class sessions become viable, will the online path still be an option?
That is a good question.
Yeah, that's a moneymaker question.
I'm not even, and to be honest, sure of what the answer is. Like everyone during this whole COVID pandemic, we're all kind of just playing it by the day, by the week. So I know we definitely have senior management looking at all possible scenarios of what may or may not happen. I know Ontario, at least Hamilton, I believe it's on Friday, we're moving to the next phase of reopening. Colleges, universities, schools might be one of the last ones, possibly just because of the sheer volume of people in a small space. If we are able to reopen classes, then as soon as we're given notice, you know that all the planning is going to go into kickstart as high gear as possible. And as soon as we're able to communicate anything, we'll let students know in terms of if they'll continue to be offered online. I can't make any promises because I honestly don't know the definitive answer to that. I would say we're probably going to try our best to accommodate both blended and online, depending on student comfort levels of returning classes or not, when that time comes.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Ryan. Really, it's been an absolute pleasure, and hearing everything about general arts and science is amazing. Kind of wish I would have done that first before I went off to university. So there you go. And I think we're going to move into general arts and science, and it's the EAP, and we're going to bring Irene on now. So thank you again, Ryan.
Bye.
Hi.
Hi, Irene. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I'll let you take over.
Okay. Hi, welcome. So I'm going to be talking about the EAP program, which is English for Academic Purposes. I'd just like to introduce some of the people, some of the staff that are from the EAP program. If you go to the next slide. We have Prasanthika here, who's a support officer. I am Irene Walker, the EAP liaison officer. And we have two professors here, Carol Shields and Jonathan McCallum. We'll go to the next slide. So overall, general information about the EAP program. It is designed to develop the students' language skills from beginner to college level English. This would include listening, speaking, reading, writing, note-taking skills, presentation skills, and pronunciation as well. We have 8 levels to our program. levels 1 through 8. Each level is 7 weeks, and typically it's 4 to 5 days a week. At the higher levels of EAP, students will have the opportunity to earn 2 post-secondary credits towards their diploma program. And for us, because it is a 7-week program, the registration closes 1 week after the program, first day of class. Next slide. In normal in-class delivery, levels 1 through 6 have 24 hours on their timetable with their professor. Levels 7 and 8 have 12 hours with their teacher, plus there is a 6-hour elective course. And in level 8, that elective counts towards your post-secondary program. Next slide. So during the COVID-19 delivery, all courses will include a face-to-face listening and speaking practice with teachers and classmates by video chat, text and online lessons and practice activities. There's online written discussions and communication, and there's also face-to-face help sessions and workshops. Next slide. So for the admissions process, it's slightly different between international and domestic. So international students would apply, they can go to the website and start the application process. We can use IELTS or TOEFL to place you, but if you don't have an IELTS or TOEFL or other test scores, you can take our own placement test. Once you take the test, you will meet the coordinator to discuss your results, and then we'll be able to register you for EAP. Next slide. Domestic students can only enter in September, January, and May, and you would be registering for 2 levels, so 14 weeks. International students can register for 7 weeks at a time. Next slide. So the admissions process for domestic students would be, you would apply through OCAS and choose 278 as your program. We can use the academic IELTS, TOEFL, or the CLB, the Canadian Language Benchmark Test, to place you. If you do not have any of those scores, you can also take the placement test, and once you finish the test, you'll meet the coordinator to discuss your results, and then you will register for EAP. Next slide. So we do have supports for our EAP students. I'm the EAP liaison officer, and I run workshops, and they cover from academic skills like presentation or pronunciation to cultural workshops, getting ready for winter in Canada or other topics like that. I also arrange for volunteer opportunities, which can help you add hours to your co-curricular record, which is a sort of resume of your activities outside of the class. And then there's also transition supports. For example, I get EAP students who have finished EAP and are in program to come back and talk to current EAP students to tell you what it's like studying in program after finishing EAP. As the other program had mentioned, there's a learning support center where there's conversation club open for any students, and they also provide extra tutoring where you can book an appointment to do extra speaking or grammar, that kind of stuff. Next slide. So some of the activities and workshops that I talked about, we have had trips to Crawford Lake, and we've tried snowshoeing this winter. We offer the stress relief workshop where students kind of learn different ways to relieve stress, and they can do some adult coloring or other ways to relieve stress. The EAP Grad Roundtable is when EAP graduates come back and speak to our current EAP students. And a new initiative we have, if the timetables work out, maybe not during the online virtual version, our level 7s and 8 students, excuse me, can observe a class in their future program to see what it's like to be in a typical classroom in their next program. Next slide. Sorry, next slide. So if you have any questions, you can always email us at eap@mohawkcollege.ca. pretty easy email to remember. Do you have any questions about EAP?
Right. Okay. Yes, we do. Here's the first question. Do we have to register for our timetable through My Mohawk, or does the coordinator register us after meeting?
So after meeting, you would find out your level, and then we will be, this semester, we'll be sending out instructions on how to register, and you will be doing it through My Mohawk.
Okay, perfect. Second question. How many students go on to other programs after GAS EAP?
We calculated this, so in 2020 so far, and maybe even to the fall of last semester, about 85% of our EAP students go on to the program.
Oh, excellent. Are they guaranteed a spot in the program if they go through GAS EAP?
So the international students are guaranteed a seat as long as the program has a spot. And then the domestic students are given priority, I believe, versus students who are applying straight from, like as a new student into program. Our EAP domestic students would get preference over brand new students.
Okay. And if you're unsuccessful, can you repeat a level?
Yes, you would have to get at least a 70% to graduate to the next level.
Okay, so it is a 70% benchmark. Okay, excellent.
Yep.
How recent should, sorry, they're coming in kind of quick. How recent should CLB scores be to apply into the GAS EAP?
Prasanthika, is it a year?
Sorry, yes, the CLB is valid for a year, and it will also be determined by the coordinator. So we will, if your CLB is within a 1 year period, we will set an appointment with the coordinator, and then the coordinator will tell you whether she could take that CLB depending on what you have been doing in Canada, and she will make that decision. Within 1 year, we will take it.
Okay. And another testing question, so you may want to stay on for a second. Does Mohawk offer the CLB testing?
No, we don't. So it's done through YMCA. You'll have to contact YMCA to book an appointment to take the test.
Okay. And just around that, you talk about a placement test that Mohawk does.
If I might, I'll just interrupt because even though we don't do the CLB testing at Mohawk, we do have our own intake assessment. So students don't have to go to the YMCA to find out their level. Right? If they don't have CLB testing or IELTS or TOEFL, they can just come to us and they'll do the placement testing and we will put them in a level ourselves.
Okay. And what is that placement test like?
It has a writing, reading, and listening part. And usually we can place the student with that information. But the coordinator will also usually speak to the student if there's any question about where we ought to put the student. When students join a class, their professors also have them write something, speak to them. If we feel they're in the wrong level, if they're too low, we can move them up. So we never move anybody down, but we can move people up if they're in, like if you join my class and I think, okay, you know, after talking to the student and seeing them work in my classroom, I think the student needs to be at a different level and we can move them then.
Okay. Here's our next question. Can you use GAS EAP to prepare for university?
I'll take it if you want. We do not have any specific agreements. Like you heard Ryan talk about articulation agreements with universities, and we don't have that. But what we do have is at the end of EAP, students have the equivalent to an IELTS score of a 6 or 6.5, depending on where they finish. So if you have a university program that requires a certain level, sometimes students then write the IELTS test at the end of our program so that they can get into a university program. And of course, the English skills will help you everywhere you go. So it's not guaranteed like it is with Mohawk. However, you will get the skills that you need for some programs. Does anybody want to add to that? Because
yeah, I would like to add to that, Carol. So yes, universities will not, like, it's not required, like EAP will not be accepted by universities as English requirement, but Ontario colleges will accept level 8 to go into post-secondary programs. So EAP program is recognized by all Ontario colleges if you want to go into their post-secondary programs. Just wanted to add that.
Now, for international students, what is the requirement to get into the program right now? And can they still study from their home country?
So for September, yes, they are allowed to study from, they're allowed to take EAP from their home country, provided they have a visitor visa. So if they have a visitor visa, they can study English for 6 months with a visitor visa without the study permit. So we will honor that. And then they can study from back home as well.
Okay, perfect. Because that's been kind of some of the bigger questions that we have been getting. A lot of international students are very interested in Mohawk College, and they do want to study from home country because of us being online right now. And we're running into the issues, obviously, of the study permits, but you're saying a visitor permit.
So only to take English. It's not for other programs, but even we have visitors who are in the country, who are visitors, who are on a visitor visa, who studies EAP. So with a visitor visa, you can study English for up to 6 months. So this is only English, not other post-secondary programs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the clarification. Does anybody want to add to this? Do you have something that you'd really like to add and to get across to the students? Because we've really kind of talked a lot about domestic. Is there anything that you'd like to add for international students that are listening? Because we do have quite a few online right now.
maybe I'll say something about COVID-19 and international students. Many international students are worried about how they will meet other students. You know, part of when people come to our program, they want a Canadian experience. They want to meet other students from different countries. They want to have speaking practice. And they think, you know, online, how can I do that? And if that's important to you, then of course, we can't meet you in the classroom, but we can meet like today, where we can have conversation, where we can see each other, where you will still meet other students from different countries. You will still talk with your teachers. You have 2 different teachers in every level, so you have a chance to talk to other people there. And there are still workshops and activities. They're online, but you have the chance to connect with other students and with your Canadian teachers. So I would say, please don't worry about that. We're doing our best to give you that good speaking experience and connecting experience.
Yes, I run lots of workshops that maybe cover Canadian culture as well. And anybody from any level, and even some international students are free to join as well. And there's also something called Coffee Club, which is run by the international department. And that's any international student can join. And typically when they're together, they have coffee, some snacks and drinks, and they play games, but they've been doing it online, an online version. And I've been to one of the coffee clubs, and last time The one I went to had about 30 international students as well. So they played some games and had some conversations. So there are many opportunities to have conversation and meet other international students.
Oh, that's excellent.
And just
Okay.
building on
Yep.
what they both said, you know, connecting and learning from each other really is my favorite part of this job. So it's definitely going to keep happening, you know, again, in a different format than it would usually happen. But we're all learning new ways to do this and we're all getting better at it. And it's all still happening.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much. One other question that's popped up now is this OSAP eligible? And I think we really need to make that distinction between the domestic students and the international.
Yes,
Right.
domestic students can take OSAP to study our program.
Okay, so it is OSAP eligible. Okay, and that is for domestic specific.
That's only for domestic students. That's right.
Okay. And I believe that's the end of our questions. Anybody have anything they want to add? Jonathan?
Nothing specifically, but I've just seen a lot of, well, one of the great parts of my job is teaching students, especially if they're coming in very low, and seeing them succeed. And I've been around Mohawk long enough to see my students move on to other programs and graduate them too. So as Irene said, you know, around 80% of our students move forward and then they get into program and then I see their success. And yeah, I just really love our program and I think you'll love it too.
No, Jonathan, thank you so much. Anything else?
I will add to that. I agree with Jonathan. It's great when we see our students in other Mohawk programs. And actually, Tracy, you asked a question earlier, and I think we didn't answer it, which is how much English do you need to start our program? And actually, you can start at a beginner level. So many EAP programs start at a higher level. They start at a sort of pre-intermediate or intermediate English. But at Mohawk, our program starts at a beginner level. So please don't worry if you have not too as much English. Come and visit us and we'll help you get some more.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Carol.
Yeah, and then just if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email us. We are here to help you. And with any questions you have about the program, please feel free to email us and we'll send you information as much as possible.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to thank, our wonderful program teachers. This has been great. It's been really helpful for myself as well, too, because I do direct people to General Arts and Science, General Arts EAP. So I just want to thank you for the information. This has been awesome. And thank you to the participants as well for joining us today. And we hope you feel confident to join us in September. If you need anything, help with next steps, you're more than willing to contact us. And questions, please send them over to discovery@mohawkcollege.ca. Thank you very much.